Hi, my name is Will, and welcome to the Distorted Transmission for today. Gargantuan, lurching, drop-tuned phrases layered with soaring apocalyptic textures. Tonight I'm chatting to Wellington's Fukushima. How are you?
Good, brother. Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
So first off the bat, I was going to ask you why you decided, well, before we get into intros and everything, why you decided to use that name in particular.
I think the way that it ended up getting cemented was we got asked to play a gig with some friends of ours, Spook the Horses, and we'd mentioned a couple of names that what we may be. Fukushima, the band name before that was Crimes Against Humanity. That was before Mark joined. And before we knew it, there was a draft of a poster came in my inbox and it said Fukushima. And basically between the time that I opened it on the inbox and the time that I got to go and discuss it with the guys, the posters had sort of been put online basically instantly. It sort of
Spook the Horses named the band. They did a great job. We're very grateful. I thought at the time Crimes Against Humanity was a tricky name given that Russia and Ukraine were at war, and then Israel and Palestine not long after. So I thought, well, why don't we pick something a little less controversial? And we ended up settling on Fukushima. So I don't think we quite got it right, but people seem to dig the name. And as soon as we were out there and playing shows, it's taken and people dig it and people know who we are now. And we've stylized it a bit. And I think the name is it's a lot of our lyrical themes are kind of like post-apocalyptic, kind of dystopia. And I guess, there's kind of echoes of that in the name, I suppose.
One cool thing about the name is we couldn't really find any other band with that name. We came across a couple later in the piece, but it's a name that sticks at people's heads. They don't forget it. And it's so we're rolling with it. It's gained its own sort of, I don't know, it works with the music now. It's sort of glued itself to the music now. It's become part of it and works, and we're rolling with it. It's good.
That's interesting. I mean, Fukushima now is, of course, synonymous with a radioactive nuclear disaster, but before that happened, I went to Fukushima many times, and it was like this little tranquil seaside resort place. So we used to just go there and hang out in hotels and go sightseeing and stuff. So it's it certainly changed. All right. Anyway, so we'll leave that there for now, and let's move on to introductions. Who's who in the band?
Okay. So I'm Mark, and I'm the vocalist. And you and I have talked before because I'm also in Planet of the Dead. Pete is the drummer, and we've got Nathan on guitars, and we've got Greg on bass, and then we've got Dale on keys. So we've got there's five of us, and that's pretty much the. I joined about a couple of years ago, and Dale joined us probably about a year ago, thereabouts.
2000, last year, yeah. So we had me and Nate met around 2016. We had mutual friends and stuff like that, and then I kind of harassed him because he had previously been in a band with Greg called Backyard Burial, which was quite a big band in Wellington for a while.
Right.
And my previous metal band, Shakan, used to play a lot of gigs with Backyard Burial. So I harassed him basically and was like, come on, because he wasn't playing guitar at the time. And just kept on him because we're hanging out at barbecues and whatnot at friends' houses and stuff. And then he chucked me a couple of demos, and I thought it was kick-ass, man. It was amazing. It was cool music. It was hitting hard. And so I was instantly, just intrigued and cranked and went straight into playing some drums for it. And then we had a jam. And at that time, our bass player, Greg, was in Melbourne. So he came back 2019 or something was our first jam, I believe. And from there we just jammed as a three-piece for ages, and that's where the name Crimes Against Humanity came. And our actual first gig from that point was a Backyard Burial reunion show. I think it was the 20-year reunion show. I may be wrong there. I think it was. And we supported it as an instrumental band because we didn't have a vocalist. We didn't have any other guitars. It was just bass, drums, and guitar. And it went down really well. And then we sort of thought, shit, we need a vocalist now. This is cool. But yeah, we needed a vocalist. And that's when we bumped into this guy.
In the absence of anyone good, they settled for me.
Before I start talking about your singles and stuff, I know you got a show coming up in Wellington, so maybe you can give me all the details for that, and then we can get on with the interview after that.
We've had some really cracking gigs this year. The last one we did was Infinity Ritual, where we played with Plague of the Fallen and Organectomy. That was an awesome gig here in Wellington.
Yeah.
The next big date for us is going to be the 10th of August, where we're going to be part of the Finis Omnium 2. It's kind of a festival. It's a bunch of bands in Wellington. So No Light headlining. We're there with Teeth and Nails. I think it's Unwanted Subject, Flowers of Hades, and Postnatal Abortion.
That's right.
There we are. So so it's a packed show. It's a packed bill. And we're really looking forward to playing it. We're hoping it's not going to be our last show of the year. We've got a few more things, hopefully, in the pipeline. We've been really keen to play shows this year and get our material out there. So any opportunity, we take it. And we're really looking forward to that show in August.
Excellent. Okay, so you've got a new single called Kawato. And I know that Kawato is from Total Recall. He was the little guy who's on the guy's chest. He goes, what do you want, Mr. Quaid?
Quaid, start the reactor. Yeah.
That one. So that dropped in May, and I did notice a strange link between your band Planet of the Dead that you mentioned before, sort of singing about Arrakis from June, and now Fukushima seems to be releasing tracks about Mars from Total Recall, all very planet focused. You are quite a big sci-fi inspired lyricist, aren't you?
I'm afraid so, yeah. And I think that a lot of that is because I find it really easy to go on stage and scream about stuff that like resonates. I've always been into science fiction. I love literature. I love graphic novels. I love movies. And it like that stuff for me as a lyricist flows really, really easily. So I generally will zone in on either a scene in a movie. So Kawato is actually about largely the opening scene of Total Recall. So, the scene where Quaid and Melina are basically walking the dunes of Mars. So it's kind of, I guess it's kind of starts as poetry, like inspired by scenes from the movie that I kind of like. And then Pete and Nate write the music, and I try to figure out how the hell I'm going to fit these lyrics to this music, and somehow we kind of make it work. So yeah, but science fiction is like, it just comes naturally to me. And I love getting on stage and like playing music where the lyrics I'm invested in. So and that was how I wrote with Planet of the Dead, and that's how I write with Fukushima. We've got a number of tracks which are all kind of influenced by science fiction.
Movie lights, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. So like, all sorts of stuff. Like we've got a track 41, which is influenced by Akira, the graphic novel written by Otomo Katsuhiro. We've got the next single coming up is going to be Dominator, and that's influenced by the 1979 film The Warriors. So yeah, it's all kind of inspired by kind of popular culture and science fiction, and I kind of like just trying to make the lyrics trying to make them as abstract as possible, so people have to kind of work and figure out the lyrics. But to be honest, I'm not that good at it. Most people figure it out in about 5 minutes. So
this has nothing to do with the interview, but you just reminded me that I watched a movie called The Last Starfighter. Do you remember that movie?
That sounds like, is that like an 80s or a late 70s?
80s, yeah. There's this game outside this milk bar sort of thing in the States, in the middle of nowhere, and this kid's playing it. And the thing is, if you actually clock the game, then the spaceship comes down, and they hire you to become their sort of starfighter to like fight the enemy. It was a kids movie, but it was fucking awesome. It's still awesome.
All I can think about is The Last Navigator, and I don't think that
Yeah.
was anywhere near as good.
The Last Navigator was kind of Disney style kind of crap, but Last Starfighter, watch that one. Maybe you can write a song about it.
It's in the works already.
The music, however, back to the kind of two band thing that seems to be permeating this whole interview. The music, however, is extremely different from Planet of the Dead. FVKVSHIMA being very sort of gent / Meshuggah or sort of abstract rhythm based, where Planet of the Dead was very straightforward rhythm. I can't even get my mouth around that rhythmically. I probably shouldn't compare the two, but I can't help doing so, as of course Mark you sing for both. But do you find writing lyrics for like very, very sort of offbeat and complex rhythms a lot more of a challenge?
Yes, very much so.
That's why we're here, eh?
Well, I'm supported by sort of Pete and Nate, and they already have good ideas about where they think lyrics should go, which helps me a great deal. I remember when I came to the first jam with, as it was then, Crimes Against Humanity, and I'd been sent something to basically work some lyrics through, and I had my lyrics ready, and then I turned up, and in the practice room, I think they must have been playing it backwards or something, because I was like, fuck, none of this stuff works.
We're lucky enough to be recording all the stuff ourselves at the minute, which has been a real bonus. We've sort of got a nice setup where I am, and I can record drums, and we can multi-track all separately at our places pretty much. But quite often Mark will go out to Nate's place, his studio, and they can work on vocal placement and stuff like that. And Mark's already got awesome lyrics written. So it's just a matter of fact. And you pretty much do have a good idea of where things are going to go, a good sense of just placement and all that sort of stuff. And then they sort of map it out because it's recorded. So if it's recorded, then he can go home, listen to it, and then drill it in, and we go from there,
I know you got one track sort of in the pipeline to release. You've released another one. Is there like a sort of like an umbrella of an EP in your mind, or?
The outlook is to do 4 tracks, release them. So we've got one, then we'll do another one in a couple of months, and then we'll do sort of up to 4. And then recently we've just been discussing the idea of there's a really cool studio up in Wellington, which is the old Massey University at the top of Taranaki Street, which is I think it's a diploma course, basically, where you can go do sort of a sound part, and you can profess in an instrument or something, but it's not the Vic Uni course, but they have a multi-million-dollar studio up there that's open for people to use, So our plan is to go record drums up there, and after we've done those 4 tracks, release them independently, then we'll go up and try and consolidate another 4 or 5 and smash down an EP. That's the plan.
I love vinyl, so I want things pressed on vinyl, as you know. My collection always needs to be bigger, so I would love to get 7 or 8 tracks out there so that we can get something pressed by Holiday or somewhere that will basically do us a decent deal on getting some vinyl pressed. The priority for us this year has definitely been getting stuff in people's ears, so it's been like getting stuff out there. People, like, the end of last year, we had a whole bunch of feedback that was really positive, and we were getting constantly asked, where do I find your stuff online? Where can we hear you? So our priority this year has basically been solving that problem.
You've got a website, well, in the making. It isn't quite functional yet, but you're also looking at building that. And it's got a mailing list at the moment. That's sort of its basic functionality. So maybe tell people about your to-be website, its address, and the mailing list concept.
We're lucky to have a guy called John Henderson who's been doing all our artwork, AI artwork. He's been awesome, man. He's been just like, every time we flick him something, he comes back to us really quickly. Funny that. So the idea behind the website, it was actually sort of his idea. The mailing list idea was, most bands do that have their official websites, just so that we can put emails out, as well as harassing people on social media the whole time. We can get an email list together and just drop information when gigs are happening, when releases are happening, and all that sort of stuff. So it's just to keep that simple, really.
We also use like Insta and Facebook. We're pretty active on those platforms. So We obviously we try and span that stuff, but I think Pete's right. I mean, getting an email with getting a website with a mailing list. I think we thought that would be a really good way to keep people in touch with where we're at and when we've got shows coming up and when new materials drop in. So the website, we hope in the fullness of time, will be the go-to. But in the meantime, we are using Facebook and Insta like every other band out there, and we hit that stuff as hard as we can.
Cool. All right. Well, I think we're about gonna can't even English. I think we're about to run out of time at some point shortly. So I wondered if at the end of this, if there's anything else you'd like to add to the interview just to round it out nicely.
Thanks for having us, firstly. I mean, it's awesome to this is the first time we've, as a band, been able to do something like this. But yeah, man, I think that hopefully people are digging our music and enjoying it. We're just kind of making things that we like and we dig. And I think the most important thing about this band is that we're all really enjoying being in the band. We've all been in bands previously and there's been struggles and all that sort of stuff. And we've sort of all had our teething problems in other bands before, I think would agree. And I think that this is really good to have a band where we all enjoy catching up every week, jamming, playing live, taking things seriously, but not too seriously at the same time. But I think we've all got a fairly similar idea and the same vision about what we want to do. We don't want to mess around doing this. We just want to get out there and do it quickly, play as many shows as possible, record music, get it out there, not be stuck in this scenario, which many bands do, unfortunately, where you're sort of not releasing music often. You know what I mean? That seems to be quite a thing. I mean, yeah, with Chicane, it was tough for us. And I think with this band, we just want to, push forward quickly. We're all getting older here, eh? We're not getting any younger, eh? So
the COVID years were obviously very tough for all of us. And I think one of the things that I've really been encouraged about this year is that the metal scene and the New Zealand music scene in general seems to be seeing a bit of an uptick. We've got some great promoters out there. I mean, the one close to us, of course, is Valhalla and Ben at Valhalla.
And Jacob
at Citizen Inquisition. So those guys are bringing great international music to New Zealand. We've been really fortunate to be a part of that and be a part of some of those shows when they happen. It's really great that like live music is making a bit of a comeback. The shows that we've been to this year, they've generally been jammed. Like international acts come over. People turn out to like see them and support them, and we hope it continues. And we hope that we can be a part of that. So, and I would echo Pete in saying thanks for having us, Will. We know you are New Zealand's chief metal archivist, so we're grateful for you to take the time to chat with us. So we really appreciate it.
I was also gonna also add thanks to Ricky Voice for also sort of. He's a bit of a fledgling guy. He's put on a few shows. He's doing the Finnis Omnium one that you're doing, and he's got another show for not just for Terraset, but with Terraset.
I just saw that. Yeah.
In about a month or so. So I really appreciate his efforts too, and I think we should try to support people who actually like take time out of their lives to try to put gigs on for all the other bands, because of course his band wants to get out there too. I mean, it's not as easy as just calling 3 or 4 bands and going, want to play? There's quite a lot of other stuff involved, and so good on him for that. Thanks, Ricky.
Yeah, really appreciate that.
Awesome.
All right, best of luck with the show, and I look forward to hearing some more music, although I have had a sneaky listen to your next track. It hasn't been released yet, but I'm looking forward to music beyond that.
There will be more coming. Thank you for having us, Paul.
I hope 2024 is richly rewarding.
We hope so too.
Thank you very much, man. Your choice.
Appreciate you.
All right, say goodbye to everybody. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye to everybody.
See you later. Cheers, mate.
And thanks for watching.